This is One-on-One. We're pleased to welcome Deborah Burns, author of Saturday's Child and also founder of Skirting the Rules. Good to see you, my friend.
So nice to be here with you.
It's been a while.
A long time, many changes,
yeah.
many new roads.
All good roads.
All good.
The book.
Amazing.
Describe it.
So this is the story of my unconventional mother. And it's about growing up with her. She was a woman who was larger than life, otherworldly beautiful. She looked like Rita Hayworth when she woke up in the morning, and it got better from there. And I started it as a love letter to her. She's now been gone 25 years. I'm an only child. And I danced around this goddess my whole life and lost her too soon, but she was always in there. And I started it as a love letter to her. I was inspired to write, crazy journey, but inspired. And in that moment, I thought that it would be so simple. I knew her, I knew all her moves, and I could just write her story. But when I started it, I realized, oh my God, it's about me. It's my story.
It connected back to your daughter.
Yes.
There was a trip where?
To London. And it was a trip that happened that my daughter originated, and it was at a time when my life was changing in the magazine media world I was in.
Let me disclose this. You were at Elle Girl. You were the top.
I was the publisher of Elle Girl. Yeah. I went beyond that. I became the chief brand officer for Elle Decor.
And you made the mistake of hiring me to come in and do some communication training. Actually,
I really don't make mistakes.
No, I'm joking. But that's how we first met.
That is how we first met.
Through our friend Nikki, who we know who he is. And you leave the corporate world, but connect it back to your daughter, because this is all about mothers and daughters.
The book is definitely a mother-daughter story. So the notion to write the book came at a time when my life was imploding. I had grown past our time together to be the chief innovation officer for HFM US, a global media company that ultimately sold to Hearst. And around the time when everything was kind of coming apart, and of course the magazine world changing dramatically, it looked its digital future in the eye and sort of didn't know what to say next.
That's right.
And so I knew I had to reinvent myself, and I wasn't so sure about what was going to come next. And I realized at the same time I was the age my mother was when she got sick. And on this journey with my daughter to London, I realized it was time to reflect on this relationship with my mother that was a little tangled and complicated. One thing I say about the book is every daughter has a story. Some are more complicated than others. And my relationship with my mother was very worshipful. I was obsessed with my mother, and I did, as I said, dance around her. And she was still so much a part of something not quite found, of a longing, that I knew it was time at this moment in midlife to kind of unravel the myth of my mother.
Where'd you grow up?
In Jackson Heights, Queens, New York. I live on Long Island now.
Your daughter?
Yes.
Reacted how to the book?
She has been an amazing part of this journey. I have 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter in the middle. But she's become my litmus test for everything now. She's an adult with a career of her own, but we've grown even closer through the process of writing the book, and she's been with me every step of the journey, and she's so amazingly smart.
You know, it's so interesting to me, because we did work together when you were at that other company, as I remember it. You were a top corporate executive in the publishing world. But reinventing yourself multiple times is a big theme for you. And you actually had this 8-step program to do that. What does that mean?
So there are a lot of lessons that I've learned through the creative journey of writing this book. So you get pretty smart about business when you are a corporate executive, but the process of writing taught me lessons across a couple of fronts. One is generationally. I realized that this love letter from my mother was really about me. And by the end of it, I realized that the messages, the undoing of the myth, was really from my daughter's generation.
The myth.
The myth of my mother and the generational myths around women and work. The message of the book was really for my daughter's generation, because the world is changing as dramatically as it was when I knew I had to reinvent myself. We're sitting in a time where, for the first time in history, millennial daughters may not, on paper, with job titles, be able to surpass their high-achieving boomer mothers like me.
Which has always been the expectation.
That's right. We're at a time when the world is accelerating to such a degree, and the corporations that hired my generation are melting away. And this younger generation, our progeny, is seeking balance.
Define balance, meaning you were a type, as I started working for you,
right?
You demanded the best from everyone around you and the consultants that you brought in. Type A, hardcore, got to get it done. And what's the balance you're talking about?
Well, you know, my generation...
Got about a minute left, I'm sorry.
No, before me, people were burning their bras and handed me a baton and said, okay, now you can have it all. And that's a myth. You can't really have it all. You can achieve, you can have success, but it is very difficult to combine in an emotionally successful way, in a well-being way, everything. And for me, with this latest reinvention as an author, I'm redefining what success means to me. And my daughter watched me before, and I hope she's watching me now, because the millennial generation has to define what success means to them.
Powerful stuff from a terrific author. She's Deborah Burns. The book is Saturday's Child, A Daughter's Memoir. The reviews are off the charts. I'm proud of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Catch you next time, folks.
Okay.
This is One-on-One. See you next time.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 30 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by New Jersey Sharing Network, Adler Aphasia Center, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, United Airlines, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Guarini Institute for Government and Leadership at St. Peter's University, and by Englewood Health. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.